Hello and welcome to my channel. I go by Lily and this is my April Reads video. I'm sure I tried really hard to catch up on my reading since I've mostly been reading Dawn May, so hopefully I did that. Anyway, let's get into the video. A Sign of Affection. I've reread A Sign of Affection and read volume 5. I will say volume 5 wasn't my favorite. It focused mostly on Yuki's childhood friend, and I can see him being an issue later on. I just hope he shoots his shot sooner than later so we can all move on. My favorite part of the volume was the last chapter. The art is just so beautiful. I can't get over it. Even though it wasn't my favorite volume, I still very much enjoyed it. I really recommend this series if you're looking for a cute, fluffy romance. Dead Man Wonderland. I read the whole series, and what a complete switch from what I read before. It has been a long time since I watched the anime and completely forgot how dark it was, which going from A Sign of Affection to this maybe wasn't the best idea. The anime ended around volume 5-ish, so there was a lot of story that didn't get animated. I really enjoyed the story. It's very dark and lots of gore. I do wish there was more to the end. It didn't feel rushed, but it does feel incomplete. Like, just one more chapter to show a bit more would have been better. They did throw in a character at the end that I kind of wish was put in the story sooner, as it felt like they weren't really needed. They just needed like a filler character for some scenes. I think her character would have had a bigger impact if she had been introduced sooner, since there wasn't a whole lot of time to get attached to her character. Would I recommend this to everyone? No. If you like series like Attack on Titan or Tokyo Ghoul, I think you would enjoy this series. Seventh Time Loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life married to her worst enemy. Volume 1. I am a sucker for villainous, time loops, and reincarnation stories, so I was really excited to try this one out and loved it. I really enjoyed it. I like how they showed bits of her previous lives without going through a full lifespan, sprinkling things in from her previous life into her current. How different things will trigger different events from happening just because they did one small thing. You can completely miss a person and never have the chance to meet them again. The art is beautiful, and I really can't wait to get the next volume. I really want more. If you enjoy villainous stories, give this one a shot. Also seems to be enemies to lovers. Maybe more to it, but don't know until we get the next volume. The Weakest Tamer began a journey to pick up trash, volume 1. I really enjoyed this volume. It's a reincarnation story about this girl who has memories from her previous life. It's not where it takes over the whole personality, though. She's her own person that just will mention stuff from her past life. Like, oh, I shouldn't do this because of a certain thing from my past life. The world has a rating system with stars, so the more stars you have, the stronger you are. Now, the main character, Ivy, doesn't have any and only has one skill, which is being a tamer, while pretty much everyone else has 2 skills. The first volume is just following Ivy as she's trying to survive. Would I say this is for everyone? Probably not. It's on the darker side, but it also has very cute moments with Ivy and her slime buddy. I feel that Ivy reminds me of Emma from The Promised Neverland. Now, different situations, and she's not as confident as Emma, but I see strong similarities there. The Most Heretical Last Boss Queen, From Villainess to Savior, volumes 1 and 2. More villainous. It's a lot darker than I thought it would be. Isekai into an otome game. The villainess is really bad. She killed a lot of people, not just bullying like most of the other villainous stories. She becomes a queen and does a lot of awful things until she was ultimately killed. That is told very early on. Despite it being a bit darker than the other villainous stories that I've read, I did enjoy it. I did hear that the artist for this series has gotten sick, or something along those lines and couldn't continue drawing the series. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with it. I might start picking up the light novels as I would really like to read more of it. The Apothecary Diaries, I read volumes 1 through 5. I really enjoyed these volumes. There are mysteries and the main character solves them, or at least to some degree. The art is just so beautiful. All of the characters have such great details that you can really tell the differences between the characters. There are some things that I don't like, mainly being the previous emperor. Thankfully, the current one isn't like the previous. I will say I love the banter between the two main characters. I think their dynamic is really funny. I also enjoy Mao Mao as a character. She's just trying to make it through life and do things she enjoys and express who she is. I will say this is probably not for everyone. It's really dark. There's a lot of death and attempting that. There are also pleasure houses, although we don't see anything that go on there, and the previous emperor liked his women to be very young, without YouTube getting mad at me. Take those into consideration if you're thinking about getting into this series. Magical Artisan Delia Wills No More. I read volumes 1 and 2. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of disappointed with this one. I really, really like the concept of this one. Reincarnation into another world, magical items. That part I did like. I think it was a bit more technical than I would have liked. I felt a lot of it was long-winded and just dragged. Also disappointed that her father set her up with a guy instead of letting her find happiness, which got her into a situation that wouldn't have happened had he not done that, which led her to be a doormat in this life too. I did enjoy bits and pieces. I will say I didn't completely hate it, and I can see others enjoying this series. For me, I think these 2 volumes are all I'm going to read of this series. There isn't enough to keep me. I will hold on to them for now and reread them at a later time and see if I change my mind. The art is very beautiful though. Grand Master of Demonic Cultivation. I've been so obsessed with these books that I almost forgot to write about it. Currently, I have read volumes 1 and 2. Once I finish those, I needed to order the next 2 volumes because I couldn't wait. The last volume will be out in May, so I will have to wait for that, sadly. I'll give a quick little description. Main character ends up following the demonic route instead of the regular one. He ends up passing away. 13 years pass from that point, and he's brought back in somebody else's body. We follow him and someone from his past as they travel around. I'm trying not to spoil anything, so it's a real rough description. I've been enjoying it a lot. I really enjoy the main characters and their personalities being so different. It really reminds me of Husky and the White Cat, just in personalities. So if you've read that series and liked their characters, I would recommend this one. I will say that I do prefer this one over the Husky and the White Cat. Honestly, the series has me really hooked, just like Heaven's Official Blessing. Not as much. I will say Heaven's is my favorite Danmei. This is my second place though. I'm usually not for ping-ponging in stories, but I don't mind so much with these. They are really back and forth from the past to the present, which they did in Heavens as well. I think I like Heavens more because Hua Chen is a bit more obvious with his feelings, even though he thinks he's doing a good job at hiding it. So I've read through 3 and 4 and am totally upset that I need to wait a month at the point I'm writing this for the last volume. I really want it now. I bawled so much during volume 4 that I needed to pause to calm down. Besides bawling my eyes out, I really enjoyed both volumes and have the urge to reread all the volumes, which I probably will do after I catch up on my to read list and prep for the 5th volume. MXTX does a really good job at building the characters that they write and the world, the little details that make them relatable, and even if they're not morally right all of the time, it's not hard to understand where the characters are coming from. Bestia? Probably not saying that right. But I read volumes 1 through 3 through my library's Pass app, which is all of the volumes. So I went into this completely blind. It's about the main character who goes to London to search for clues about why his mom just vanished. He is absolutely terrified of all animals, but especially dogs. Along the way, he meets up with these magical beings, and don't want to spoil anything, so that's all I'll say. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I don't like this series. I'm not sure if it's just too much at once and felt lost and or just not interested in this. I think the concept is interesting, and I'm sure I've read something similar to this, but it didn't hold my attention. Fiancé of the Wizard. I read through volumes 1 through 4 on the library app, which is all the volumes for the manga. There is a light novel for this series, but no one has picked it up for English translation, sadly. I did have a bit of a feeling that they honestly could have ended at 2 volumes. It would have ended quite nicely and not all the drama that came in with the last 2 volumes. I did quite enjoy the whole thing. I do wish there was more. It didn't feel rushed to me. I just want more of these two. I like their dynamic, and an isekai where the main character wasn't powerful or overpowered and they were just normal and trying to survive in this world. I would totally pick up the light novels if a company picks it up for English. Not sure if I'll pick up the manga physically or not. Maybe for a decent price, since I did enjoy it. The Fiancé Chosen by the Ring. I reread volume 1 and read volumes 2 and 3. I did find it more enjoyable this time around. I will definitely keep reading on the library app. Will I buy it physically? No. It doesn't wow me. It's all right. I am not sure if it's the pacing or just the characters not drawing me in. I think the world they're in is very interesting and I enjoy learning little things, but that seems to be it. I don't have very strong attachments to the main characters. Also, the parents were nowhere to be seen till the 3rd book, and they barely had any reaction to coming home to their daughter being engaged. Like, they were an afterthought. School of Horns. This series only has 2 volumes, which the library app had. I think the world is quite interesting. It's a demon school, and depending on the type of horns you have, determines the type of power you have. Since it's 2 volumes, the story was kind of all over the place and did feel rushed. Like, oh, there's this problem, let's be friends, and that fixes everything within a chapter. I really wanted to like this a bit more than I did. I just don't think this one was for me. Maybe if it had a few more books to it, it would have been paced better. The NPCs in this village sim must be real. I reread volume 1 and read volumes 2 and 3. This series reminds me of the anime Relife, where the main character has lost their way and needs some help getting back on their feet. I really enjoy this series. I know it's not for everyone. I really relate to the main character. He's had a tough time and has really been down in the dumps. Gets this game and his life starts to change for the better. He starts talking with his family more and learning new things, just experiencing life again instead of being in his room all of the time. I mean, he's still in his room a lot, but the game, putting that in quotes, just because of the title, is helping him out a lot. Of course, Volume 3 ended on a cliffhanger in the middle of a battle, and the next few volumes don't come out for a while, so yay for that. The Dragon Knight's Beloved. I reread Volume 1 and read Volumes 2 and 3. I was really expecting this to be a bit more of a slow burn, but then in Volume 3, things just happened kind of out of left field. Like, they were talking about it and then boom, I need you to know now. Like, I get why it happened the way it did, but also wished it was a bit sweeter kind of moment. They're really hinting that Melissa herself may end up as a Dragon Knight. They keep going on about how there hasn't been a female Dragon Knight and how much the dragons love her. Plus, a certain dragon always wants to be with her. I think that will be really interesting. I'm enjoying this story. I don't think it's like a wow for me. Like, oh, you have to read this. I really enjoy it and want to keep reading it. But it's not a series where I'm like, I need the next volume right now. I'll pick it up when I can. Disobey the Duke If You Dare. I read volume 1 and quite enjoyed it. The volume is in full color and it's very beautiful. It's about the female lead who keeps getting married off by her father for what seems to be status and money. Now, I'm just assuming this, but I also think that her father is killing her past husbands to marry her off to better suitors, since she hasn't had any kids with her previous husbands. They make the Duke come off as this awful person and doesn't seem that way as we go along with the story. Of course, he has done bad things, and those things were awful from what we have seen. Wary of the friend of hers that's obviously in love with her, but she only sees him as a friend. I know for sure he's going to be a problem later on. My coworker has a secret. I reread volume 1 and then read volume 2 on the library app, which is the last one. I think this little series was cute. I don't plan on picking it up though. It was a nice read, but that's it. I think just these cutesy office romance aren't my favorite thing. This is something I read once and then never think about it again. If you like cutesy office romance, then you may like this, and it's not that long. That is it for my April reads video. I'm quite proud of myself for all of the reading I got done. I even dipped into my May reading list, so I'm going to have to read some other stuff for May. Thank you so much for watching my reads video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you like videos like this one, please like and subscribe. If you have any video suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. Have a lovely day.